Welcome back, everyone. It's just another day in the life as a military wife, and this week I wanted to talk a little bit about military balls. We're starting that season where it's going to start taking place. Maybe you don't know much about the history or background or whatnot, then I want to share that part of military culture and military life with you guys. So buckle up and join me for some fun. Okay, so let's just talk about this a little bit. In the military, maybe you didn't know this, that at least once a year, most branches of the military will throw a ball, which is like a formal dinner evening event. A lot of companies still will do formals, evening dinner things, or there'll be events and stuff. But a military ball is very specific because there's a lot of history behind it. Most military balls have been around for around 200 years, or at least the Army ball has been around for more than 200 years. And they each have theirs at different times, and there's some very set stuff. And we'll get into all of that. But the Army's ball is usually around June 14th, not exactly on that. And the Navy's is October 13th, Air Force is September 18th, Marines is November 10th, and Coast Guard is August 4th. And the Army's actually began June 14th, 1775. And part of the reason, there is a lot of tradition. There's recognition of fallen comrades. There is just a whole bunch of toasts, and it's a way to build an esprit de corps, camaraderie, morale. It can be a really fun thing. It can be a stressful thing if you don't understand what the expectations are, because there are expectations. It's a very traditional event. And so there are some things you're going to want to know ahead of time. Okay, so with military balls, one of the first things you need to consider is what happens before you get there. So what do you wear? If you're invited to a military ball and you're a guy, you're supposed to wear a nice suit, tux preferably. Very much preferred as tux, but nice suit might be passable. Girls, straight up ball gown, not a cocktail dress. It should not go above your ankles. This needs to be a down to the floor, shebang, better than prom, full on ball gown. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be the A-line or whatever. You can have different types of silhouetted ball gowns, but it needs to be a ball gown. You should also have a clutch instead of like a normal purse. You should have your hair done, nails done, that sort of thing. For the non-service member, it is okay to have a corsage or boutonniere. But for the service member, they should be in their dress uniform, and they should not have anything like that. If you are in a cav unit in the Army, then you can wear a Stetson. I'm sure there's other exceptions for different units, but it needs to be their dress uniform. Right now, because they're transitioning between the old dress uniform and the new dress uniform, both are acceptable. For the Army, I don't know if there's a couple. The Navy was going to be transitioning, I think, on some of their uniforms. Anyway, so yeah, but it needs to be a formal uniform. Sorry, my dog is chewing her bone in the background. So if you hear that, I apologize. At this point, I'm just going to keep recording because I've re-recorded multiple sections because she's having fun with her bone and won't leave mommy alone. And I just need to keep going at this point. Anyway, moving on, back to this. So the first part of a ball, you'll show up, and this is handled two different ways. There is a cocktail or social hour where you can get your photo taken, take drinks, talk, whatever. Basically, this is to ensure you are not late. Sometimes it's an open bar, sometimes you have to pay for it. So with the world the way it is, if you're being financially conscientious, and you are needing, basically don't go crazy on the alcohol. Don't go crazy on the alcohol because you don't want to look ridiculous later on, and because it's going to cost an arm and a leg. So balance things out, especially if it's an open bar. There are so many horror stories of young service members getting a little too excited about the open bar and are just out of it drunk before the night's even halfway over. And this is still a professional setting. This is still a business dinner. You need to be professional. Yes, you're allowed to drink. Don't overdo it. So, personally, I don't drink alcohol, so that's never going to be an issue for me. But if you do, please be conscientious on that one. The next thing that happens you can go and check out. They'll usually have like a seating chart. Maybe it'll be out where you can see and know where your table is going to be ahead of time. But anyway, the next thing is the reception line. And when you're going through the reception line, just know that you need to have your hands free. So just make sure you've got your drinks set aside or done. And also, like for ladies, make sure your phone and everything is in the purse. You just want your hands free because you're going to be shaking hands, introducing yourself, all that sort of stuff. And one big no gum. No gum. After the reception line, that's a great opportunity to hit the bathroom because during the formal diningness, it gets a little awkward to have to get up and go to the bathroom, and there's certain points where that's socially not acceptable. So this is a great opportunity. Find your seat, go use the bathroom. Once you find your table, the lady sits on the left, and the men stand until every woman at that table is seated. So, if you're the first one to the table, find your spot, quickly go to the bathroom. Maybe your date can go to the bathroom too. The guy can too. That way they're not just standing there waiting for all the women to show up. And be conscientious. Be kind of quick about sitting down. Every time a lady gets up from the table or leaves the table, the men have to stand up. And when they come back, and they need to stand up. So it's just, that's why it gets kind of awkward later on, especially when people are trying to eat. If you have to get up and use the restroom, because then they have to stop eating so that you can get up. So that's why it's just better to make sure you get that covered before everything starts. During the toasts, you will stand up the whole time. You need to make sure you have a full glass of whatever. Again, like I said, I don't drink alcohol, so no alcohol for me. It's usually just water, and sip. Especially if you do have alcohol, don't be chugging it. You'll have to refill your glass, and there is quite a few toasts, not just one. So that's something to keep in mind. And then whenever there's the guest speaker, just no talking. That's just rude. It should be common sense. I feel like that would be common sense, but it's something that I just felt like it's been brought up. I really am very lucky that our unit leadership, his wife decided to do a class on ball etiquette for our first ball, and put together an amazing slideshow with a lot of detailed information that I found really particularly quite helpful. And a lot of that is stuff I've shared with you tonight. So now I'm going to kind of get into, and I kind of hit on this a little bit before, but again, with everything that's going on, taking the fiscal responsibility into account, things are tighter for people economically. So there is this wonderful organization called Operation Deploy Your Dress. And it is a nonprofit organization that has a lot of locations nationwide. And I think there might be a couple installations outside of the continental United States, but I'm not certain. I know there's one by me, and I have taken advantage of it. But Operation Deploy Your Dress gets donations from organizations, formal dress companies that have surplus stock, as well as the Miss America pageant has also donated dresses. Just a second. Anyway, Operation Deploy Your Dress offers free formals for military spouses. It's typically one formal per year. And sometimes you can get more than one, depending on the cost of the formal or how much they have in stock, or whatnot. And these formals are absolutely fantastic. One of the dresses I got was a former Miss America pageant dress, and it's just gorgeous. Like these gowns are just beautiful, and you would have had to spend a lot of money on these gowns if you went and got them off the rack. So to be able to get them from an organization that not only will let you have them for free, but they don't want them back. They're like, please, we have too many. We get too many donations. And so it's a beautiful dress that you can keep. And seeing as military families will move every couple of years, you can reuse some of those formals. That's another way to save some money. Have 3 dresses and use them at every duty station or whatever. But that's an option with Operation Deploy Your Dress. They're a really great program. So I wanted to throw that one out there. Another is hair, makeup, nails. Come on, we're girls. I'm fairly good at doing my nails, so I do get my nails done professionally, but I don't do them. I'm at a salon. But I don't always do it. Sometimes I'll do it for myself for formal occasions because I have experience doing my own nails and it saves money sometimes. Updos. I used to be great at doing updos. I used to do them for people for weddings and for prom and whatnot. And then I had kids and life, and I have not done an updo on my own hair in forever. And so, full-on updos, you might need help with that and figuring that out ahead of time so that the day of you're not stressed trying to do an updo on yourself and you haven't done one since prom. Or finding a friend. Maybe you are really good at doing nails and you've got a friend who's really great at doing hair and you guys can swap. Also makeup, that is something. Not all balls require it, but there is an expectation that you are going to dress up, which typically means wearing makeup. And as a very proud tomboy, but I'm also a girly girl. I'm like this weird combination of tomboy and girly girl. I don't wear makeup on a regular basis, and I'm totally comfortable in jeans and a t-shirt with some sandals. But every now and then, oh my goodness, I just want to look like a princess. Every now and then, I want to put on a fantastic dress and be dressed to the nines and look fabulous and be told that I'm gorgeous. Because, dude, I'm a girl. Occasionally, I just want to be told I'm pretty. So, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But because of that, those are things to take into consideration. Yes, you can get all of those things, your hair, nails, makeup done professionally, but that's going to be a little bit more expensive. So maybe swap with some friends, get some help from friends, practice ahead of time. There are tons of YouTube tutorials on updos and makeup and all that stuff. Jewelry also is another thing. Operation Deploy Your Dress sometimes has jewelry. Yeah, my doggy is just being ridiculous today. I'm sorry for that. But anyway, Operation Deploy Your Dress sometimes has jewelry. I'm just going to be straight up. I have worked in the theater world, and it's amazing how much costume jewelry can look like the real thing. You don't have to go spend a whole lot of money on your jewelry for it to look good. It's just having an eye for stuff that looks, you know, looks realistic, looks classy, not over the top or chintzy. So, yeah, don't waste a whole lot of money on your jewelry. I mean, if you have a couple really nice pieces, and you've got a grandmother's pearls or something, use that. Use what you've got. If you've got something nice, that's great, but don't feel like you have to go out and spend a lot of money on that. The other thing is with childcare. Balls are not a short event. Like I just said, like there's a whole hour of socializing before it starts. And then the dinner and all of the program is like an hour, hour and a half, depending on how wordy everyone is. And then you've got like another half hour to hour of dancing, or more. So that can easily be 3.5 hours just there. And that's not traveling to or from. Sometimes it's a close by venue, sometimes it's not. So it can be kind of pricey. So if you have a friend who's in a different unit, who their ball is not the same day as your guys is, maybe you can swap on childcare to save some expense. We've lucked out with grandparents in town being willing to have grandkid time, and that has saved us on childcare as well. So there's ways to work on that too. The other thing is, if the venue is particularly far away and you have some friends that you are close to, maybe carpooling so that you can cut down on the cost of gas, because we all know that's not as cheap as it used to be. Anyway, so there's a lot of ways to be economical about this. This sounds like a really over-the-top, glitzy, glamorous, just decadent, almost like ridiculously expensive thing. And it can be. I'm sure there are people who drop tons of money on balls, but you don't have to. And that's the key. And if dropping a ton of money is why you're not going, there's ways to work around that. This is a really wonderful way to just get to know the other people in your unit, to build that camaraderie for spouses and girlfriends and significant others to meet and get to know each other. And just to have some fun. So I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I have taught ballroom dance. I love ballroom dance. And so the fact that I can dance with my husband, yes, please, because we've got 3 little kids and I was never into clubs. So going out dancing is not something we get to do a ton. So that's the other reason why I love balls, is dancing with my husband is always fun for me. So, and granted, I had to teach him how to dance, but that's a whole nother story. But so yeah, that's just my 2 cents on military balls. There's histories. There's a lot that goes into the actual program of a military ball. If you've never been to one before, like the table setting and knowing which fork to use for what, and the grog, depending on what branch of the military you're in and what type of a unit you're in, the whole grog ceremony can take on a widely different, theme to it. And that's the other thing. If you don't drink alcohol, the grog can be a little scary. Grog is a old-fashioned term that basically has to do for a punch. And punch typically was a military thing. Like it had alcohol in it, and it was a traditional thing, and you'd make it at these balls, these parties, these dinners. And the word changed to grog, or it was grog also. But anyway, now there's specific stuff that goes into it. Anyway, it's just a tradition. You don't have to drink the grog, especially if you are the civilian. You don't have to drink the grog. I mean, you might be teased for not drinking the grog, but honestly, I don't care. Tease away. There are some things I'm not putting in my mouth. So, but yeah, anyway, military balls are this wonderful anomaly that exists in our society where I feel like there's just kind of this old school tradition that has been passed on and a legacy. And I love that. I love tradition. I love history. And I hope that this legacy continues on for a long time. I have heard that some balls, they'll actually have classes ahead of time so people actually know how to dance at a ball. Or for one of the anniversary ones, they actually taught them some old, old line ball dances that would have been danced originally. Nowadays, it's I've heard all sorts of stuff. So here's the takeaway. Don't be that person. Please don't get slobbering drunk right away on the open bar. Don't feel like you have to spend a ton of money. You really don't. There's ways to be economical about this, especially if you are lower enlisted. This is a great social experience, but you don't have to break the bank doing it. The other thing is, this is supposed to be a fun environment. Yes, there is structure. Yes, there is organization and rules and expectations, but just be kind, just have fun. And the other thing is, ladies and gentlemen, if you are the civilian, the dress code matters. You will feel uncomfortable if you are not adhering to the dress code. Or at least that's what I've been told. I've never had that problem, but I have been told that. So that's my 2 cents on military balls. Well, far more than 2 cents, actually. There's a lot coming up with regards to the channel or the podcast. I'm going to be doing another resiliency class in September with Maria Strange. And I'm working on website. We're going to see how that comes. Putting together some workshops on work-life balance. That is something that I have become very passionate about. I've started to notice more and more that there really is, there's a lot that can help families with work-life balance. Anyway, that all said, I hope you have a wonderful week. I know it's late, but happy Flag Day. And you are listening to Life of a Military Wife, and I am your host, Sam Wolf.